Sometimes people won't consider you because they recognize your value. It's not that they don't see what you bring to the table, they see it and feel threatened by it. So they combat the threat by pushing you to the side. Too often, people don't get certain opportunities or jobs and immediately believe their value isn't being recognized. Sometimes it is. And that's why you're overlooked. The people in charge want someone who is talented, just not more talented than them. Tweeted by Tony Tone. Ooh, child. Welcome to Tuesday's episode of the Toy Talks podcast. Sorry, I'm all stuttering my words because that thread spoke to me and it speaks to this podcast episode. And honestly, when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, if there was ever an opportunity for the ancestors to basically put something in my face and make me confront certain things, it was that tweet or those tweets. Welcome to Tuesday's episode of the Toy Talks podcast. This episode is called The Power of No. My name is Toy Washington. If this is your first time here, welcome. Where have you been? But don't worry. We have some episodes that we have recorded, we have spoke on. There are so many different areas that we have spoken about here on the Toy Talks podcast. For those of you who do not know, the Toy Talks podcast guides, advises, aids and supports Black women as we navigate the world of work and life, and in turn lights up the path of our success. This podcast is going to be 2 years old, the 1st of January. 2 years old. And I remember when I knew that I had to kind of make the transition from Snapchat, where I was, if you imagine, I was doing and kind of like podcast episodes on Snapchat that only lasted 24 hours. And I slowly realized that people needed something they can refer to. And I needed to solidify Toya Talks through a podcast where I share my experiences, my mistakes, my growth, my successes, and all the things that I've learned along the way that has provided me with the tools to navigate the world of work and actually be successful in my career. And to be able to look back and say, oh my God, I was so nervous and worried. I didn't know whether it was the right thing to do. I didn't know if I was ready for that. Because for me, it was a big step. It's also as well, like, you know, I'm not sitting here and saying it's easy every week coming here and kind of opening up and sharing. I'm not typically that person that is open, and there is a vulnerability required in each episode, irrespective of the topic we're speaking about. And I feel so grateful to be afforded the opportunity to have a podcast where the content is valued, needed and wanted by so many Black women. And as a Black woman myself, I love the fact that I'm able to come here and create a safe space for us to have these type of conversations. I don't even know where to start this episode. And you guys know that as part of the episodes, we do talk about things that have happened in the week and stuff like that. I will also say that the feedback of the last podcast episode, there are good looking men and women in every tax bracket, part 1. You guys really enjoyed that episode, and the feedback has been absolutely fantastic. And I'm just grateful to God that you guys received the message. You guys received it and really enjoyed it. And some of you did come back to me with your feedback and your views. A few people said that they felt dragged. And for me, as long as it creates opportunity for conversation, that to me is the most important thing. Now, I'm going to start this episode by saying that I watched the Real Housewives of Potomac, or Potomac, what we call it, Potomac to Potomac. And what I love about it is seeing Black excellence centre stage and affluence of Black men and women being able to see that. And it's unfortunate we don't see a lot of it here in the UK. So we in the UK, a lot of us, we look to America to kind of see that. You know, we know that, for example, Atlanta is like the Hollywood, like the Black Hollywood, you know. And one of my wishes is to actually go to Atlanta and really embody and experience Atlanta, and where we are the majority. That's what I'm looking forward to. And I'm told that Black people are in the majority. So that's going to be really nice to see that and experience that. But The reason why I talk about the Real Housewives of Potomac is because I've been wanting to talk about it for a while, but I wanted this season to come to an end, and it has done. My favorite housewife has to be Wendy Osafo, and literally it's because she stands firm in who she is. She's a fellow queen, but also she's an Igbo woman as well. You know I love my Igbo women, but also as well that she is fearless in confronting a lot of the issues within the housewives. Jealousy, backbiting, but on a scale that is just malicious. And when they attacked her husband, she came out swinging out the gate. And actually what was really nice is to see was her not only defending her home, but putting Robin and Giselle in their place. Giselle has so much opinion. For somebody who can't hold down a relationship, she's got a lot of opinions. The only thing that she can hold down, honey, the only thing that she holds down is that bad dress sense. Because I don't understand why she has so much opinion. And then I saw like some snippets from the reunion, and apparently her ex-husband owes the state how many millions of pounds in back taxes, and she was married to him at the time. So do you understand? Like, concentrate on your own. Like, when Karen Hugo, who I also love, Karen Hugo is one of my favorite characters too, but Wendy is by far like somebody who just like, she just makes my heart dance, and she's so successful, and she is fearless in tooting her own horn. And I feel like society is comfortable with subduing black women to a point where we don't even toot our own horn. And I want to talk about that a little bit later on. But Karen Hugo's been married for over 25 years, and that should be celebrated. But even in the midst of that celebration and that epic milestone, Giselle still has something to say. But your ex-husband, who you got back in a relationship with after he cheated on you and had children on you, then cheats on you again whilst you got back with him, only for you to dump him, then to find out that he now owes back taxes from when you two were married together. It's giving me desperation. It's giving me problematic, and it's just giving me bleh. Giselle is problematic to me anyway, because her opening statement, you know, all the housewives have their opening statement at the beginning of the show. You know, for example, my name is Toy Washington and I'm the wife that keeps on winning. You know how they do it. Anyway, so she says something about the key to her beauty is staying in the shades. Huh? What in the colorist? What the what? I'm just gonna leave that there. But that to me sums up Giselle in my mind. And Robin is her little lapdog. Robin, I don't understand, but you know they say, like, you know what they say, show me your friends and I'll show you who you are. And Robin and Giselle are friends, and I've never understood the dynamic of how that relationship works. Robin she used to be married to one. One cheated on her, didn't even help her when she was pregnant, when she had her two boys. They've gotten back together. He's proposed to her with some, you know, them sweet shop rings. You know the ones, you know those little machines outside of sweet shops. They used to have them back in the day. That's what the ring looks like. Anyway, sorry, forgive me. Anyway, so then he has basically then proposed to her. They're back together, and then she can't even talk about certain things, like for example he wants another child, so she's basically saying, well, I need you to be a bit more hands-on. And the way he speaks to her is so disgusting, and in my head I'm just thinking to myself, but you have a friend that accepts that behavior, so therefore your friend is not telling you that what you are experiencing with your ex-husband, who is now your fiance, is unacceptable. And having a standard and setting boundaries is actually acceptable. And I don't even want to get into those two because they just piss me off. But if you haven't already, go and watch Real Housewives of Potomac. Also as well, what's her name? I can't remember. The one that's married to Michael. I don't even know her name. Like, she's just annoying. But Michael is, you know, it's funny because Robin said something really interesting. She said that she thinks that Michael is an elitist. And I do too. And I'm not going to spoil it too much. What I am going to say is that we don't talk about kind of elitism in society. We talk about white privilege, but elitism is slightly different. There's a nuance to it. And I definitely think I'm going to do an episode about that. But Real Housewives of Potomac, go and have a watch. The reunion is coming up. Nicki Minaj is hosting part of the reunion, so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that. So, you know, I spoke about the opening of this episode. And you guys know like the vibe when it comes to Toy Talks podcast. I always open with a quote. That's kind of my thing. And it's partly in direct protest of what is seen as an acceptable opening of a podcast, where people have jingles and theme tunes. And I think that's great. I think that's brilliant. You know, that's how you recognize podcasts and stuff. And, you know, my favorite opening of a podcast is Collect Your Cat for Say Your Mind podcast. I love it. But for me, I always feel like I'm in my own lane as is everyone else, and I never wanted to conform to what everybody thinks I should do. So for me, yeah, I can go and get an opening done, but for me, it's more important to have a powerful, strong opener, because also as well, it's a window to an episode. And equally as well, for me, I just kind of feel like quotes and affirmations are really important to me. And within our community of Black women, I think we need to affirm certain things, because society spends a lot of time, has done over the years, crushing us and removing the ability for us to be able to feel affirmed by our environment. There are so many things around us that would have us think a certain way, and I'm so glad that with the resurgence of Black Lives Matter, and I think also as well social media and the ability to communicate and connect, we are forthright in speaking and asserting ourselves as Black women. And I think that the narratives of stereotypes are still there, and I think they're not as, what I would say is we are spending now more time calling it out. And one thing about non-Black people calling out their stereotypical pursuits of oppression is that they feel as though you've removed their mask and you've shamed the devil. You know, I've always often spoken about the importance of advocating for ourselves, and I've got a podcast episode about that. But equally, there's other forms of advocating for ourselves. For example, the ability to say no, the power of no. We're going to get onto that shortly. However, the opening of this podcast episode is very strong. It's a series of tweets by Tony Tone. And it kind of led me also to want to read this to you guys. So you guys know Aloni, and she tweeted something, and Kelechi actually reposted it and made a comment, and I thought it was so powerful. So I want to read it here on today's episode. So Aloni says, I found it so disrespectful that a space and lane I created had me overlooked by a dating app company this Black History Month. How are you talking about Black love in London and I don't see an invite? Anyway, I decided to make Hinge trend the next day. And Kelechi retweeted, and she says, glad Aloni spoke up about this. Too often, brands won't come to you as the person who literally carved out a specific lane, but they'll want to use that lane while ignoring you. The whole influencer marketing realm is very anti-Black. Ultimately, they don't want to pay what they know you're worth, so they'll try to have conversations you started and use others who won't charge as much because it wasn't their lane to begin with. Ooh! Woo! Woo! I remember Tony Tone spoke about being overlooked and stuff, and you guys know, like, I've been very honest about struggling. I struggled with being overlooked in this space, because you can't talk about Black women in the world of work without mentioning me and my podcast and platform. I'm sorry, I put it on everything. I'm using my horn to toot because it's the truth. I've worked hard to educate, to teach, and to guide my fellow Black queens. I've come here consistently and stood up. And I definitely have seen certain brands who engage in what I post because I see them in my stories, and then try to push something or push a campaign, and they will overlook me deliberately. And I used to take this so personally, and when I'm PMSing, I take it even more personally, okay? But being overlooked, for me, I always felt like it was a form of rejection. It's almost like you're not good enough. But what I realize is that not only am I good enough, the powerful nature of the brands that I have created and the lane and conversations that I have stimulated means that there is always going to be people who are a knockoff of what I do and are cheap in doing it. Because you see, you have to understand that your originality makes you unique. You are you. You know, if you had multiple, so for example, you had multiple, let me give you an example. You have a pen and you have multiple pens. The origin of that pen is the first. Everything else is a spring off of that pen. Do you understand? But the original pen is the authentic. The authentic one is more expensive. And I was definitely that person whereby I used to undervalue myself to a point where I placed no value on myself. And when you have society perpetuating certain things, you're almost fooled into believing that you should be grateful because you've been placed in a situation where you don't even place value on what is valuable to others, and therefore cheapen what you have. And I've stood firm and understood the advantage of being financially having a financial advantage insofar as I don't have to rely on brands to do what I do. I earn my own money, I work hard to make my own money, and therefore I get to dictate the terms at which I engage. However, I had a conversation with somebody recently, and I asked them a couple of questions, and something that I realised is that I've always spoken and been honest about influencer marketing and the fact that it is very anti-black. It's very, we talk about influencer marketing, we have to speak about social media. We have so many content creators and social media influencers who are black women who should be further along than they are in comparison to their non-black counterparts. And it can only be because we are black. Because they know how to come to us to ask us to do certain things, but they don't know how to pay us. I was hearing recently, I say recently, but we all were hearing about there being black influencers that see their white counterparts being not only paid more than them, but actually being paid. And some of our black queens are still waiting on invoices to get paid from last year. And I think that's disgusting. And the fear of speaking up is a real consequence, because they feel as though if they speak up, they'll never be asked to do work with that brand again. But you haven't even been paid for the one that you did. So I'll take the chance. So there is something to be said about, as black women, how we engage in business. And it's so important. It's important because how you engage in business will ultimately lead to how people do business with you. And I have an episode coming up about business and kind of work on the side hustles and stuff and business and things that I think that we need to talk about, and that's coming up. And there's 2 episodes, one with a CEO of a particular company and another one about how to ensure that we are actually running a business, because some of you are running a charity and don't even realize it. Yeah, you are running a charity. When someone doesn't pay your invoice, when you don't chase those invoices, when you don't put in the contractual mechanisms to ensure you get paid, you are a charity. And that's on period. And I have to be very, very honest, because I think a lot of my black queens are afraid to set up businesses for whatever reason. But equally, some of my black queens have set up businesses and brands have come to you and you've given them stuff for free. But it took you how much time and money to manufacture those things that you're doing for free? Do you understand? There needs to be a mutual exchange of benefit. That's how I look at it. So for me, free products is not a benefit. I don't consider that a benefit. A benefit is something I can't do for myself, or a benefit for me would be something that adds a monetary value. And I think we need to get to that stage of being comfortable to talk about money. And I say this to say a couple of things. The first thing is, when I started doing public speaking, I didn't know how much to charge. I just didn't know, because no one was really talking about it. Again, black community, we don't talk about certain things, taboos in talking about money, taboos in financial literacy, taboos in financial education. And I really hope that I've completely destroyed that ceiling of lacking in that communication. When I did the episode on financial literacy and financial education, it was to remove the smokescreen against talking about finances and money. I didn't know how much to charge for public speaking, but I had a benchmark. The benchmark is that I'm a consultant. I know what I'll get out of bed for. I know how much time and effort it takes for me to put together a presentation and prep and deliver it. I know how much work goes into doing the research about companies and doing my due diligence. I also know the value of self and the value of the business that I have built. So you can only imagine my astonishment when I had a public speaking event. And this public speaking event, they've reached out to me a few times. I'd been booked, I was really, really busy. And there was an opening. They'd given a couple of dates and there was an opening. And basically, I told them what my rate was. So what they wanted me to do is they wanted me to, do like a, I don't know how to explain it. Okay, so just call it a presentation. Want me to do some form of a presentation, very high level. And then they wanted me to do a panel discussion. And the high level presentation that they wanted me to do was remote, okay? But it's still my time, still my effort, still my presentation. It's still me delivering a service. And the panel discussion, I've never done before. I'd never done a panel discussion before. So for me, it's building that experience and what to expect. Because I don't know what to expect in that situation, other than that I need to understand and manage the personalities and still be able to communicate the message in which I have been asked to deliver. Do you understand? I still need to understand and diagnose what issues a particular company is having, and therefore how to tailor the panel discussion to actually also address endemic issues within organisations that are committed to perpetuating stereotypes to the detriment of black women. I have to talk about those things, it's important, but equally you have to diagnose what issues are within that company, because equally when I leave, I want to make it a better environment, or number one, better environment for my black queens, but also leave there inspiring my black queens and then anyone else who feels inspired by what I say. So when they reached out to me, I told them my fee. So I can tell you that I won't engage in anything less than £1,000. I can be very honest. My £1,000 is my minimum. And for me to quote £1,000, it's not as much work, right? So on average, I can tell you that I charge for public speaking between £1,000 and £3,500. Now, if it's overnight or it's like a delivery of over 3 days or 4 days, obviously it's a lot more than £3,000 or £3,500. It's a bit more than that. Anyway, so I'd gone back to them and I said to my assistant, you go back to them, because she was like, Toya, they're asking for this. So she went back to them and she says, right, Toya will cost, this is how much it will be, and broke it down and everything. And they said, oh no, we can't pay that because we've got another 2 external panel members and they're only charging us £500. I said, Jesus, these people have eroded everything. Can you see the effects of people who do not know their value? They start eroding yours. So these 2 panel members don't know their value and they have priced £500. That £500 doesn't include transport. The transport is within that £500. What about time to prep? What about your actual time to deliver? And what about the value that you bring? All in £500? No, that doesn't work for me. I said to my assistant, I said, can you see what happens when you don't know your value? You cheapen yourself and vicariously cheapen other people. I said, well, I'm in a bit of a conundrum because I have not done a panel discussion before and it's important that I do a panel discussion. So I have to make a decision. I said, I either have to take this £500 and suck it up or I walk away. So she said, what are you going to do? I said, well, there's no negotiation here. They've told me that £500 is their walk-away point because they've got a comparator who's cheapened themselves. So they know I'm valued at more, but they have now decided that across the board, that's how much they're going to pay. And I genuinely believe that 100%, because when I did the panel discussion with these two people, I could see why they valued themselves at £500, and that's because they refused to allow themselves to shine outside of the white gaze. When you are delivering things that are palatable to the white gaze, you will cheapen yourself. When you deliver something that's authentic to the essence of who you are and what you do, £500 can't cut it. So I went back to them and I said, I do not charge £500. This is my time. This is my passion. But also, this is something that I do and take seriously. And therefore, a labourer is worth their wage. I said, but I have never done a panel discussion. So I am going to charge £500 because what you're telling me is everybody else's. I said, this is a classic example as to demonstrate that black people have been so systematically oppressed in this country that some of us are just happy to take scraps because we think it will lead to the next job, not knowing that it, number one, doesn't lead to the next job, but it cheapens that job for anybody else who is engaged and valued it more. But I'm doing this because I've never done a panel discussion, and it's important I gain this experience. I went there, I did my thing. I did the presentation online. I went there and I did my thing. And even the way they carried themselves, that was quite interesting. I think for them, they were thinking, you know, like sometimes you take a lower paid job because you think that you can climb up the ranks, and then you realise actually there's a ceiling and you can't climb anywhere, and actually they've tricked you into that job into thinking that there's prospects, but there's prospects for other people. But as black women, there's not prospects for us because we don't see people that look like us in senior roles, which lends itself to the fact that there is a ceiling. So when you go in there, you hit the ceiling quite quickly, and then you're frustrated because there's no progression, but you knew there was no progression when you went there because you didn't see it. It's the same. It's the same. These people cheapen their value because they believed that there was a bigger piece of the pie. That pie is not coming. No, that pie is not coming. And the pie is not coming because they didn't deliver in a way that would lend itself that there's something, you know, there's something worth paying for. When you cheapen yourself, people feel they don't have to try. Do you understand what I'm saying? So this bigger piece of the pie won't materialise. But I was so disappointed that my fellow black people caused me to undervalue myself purely because I just wanted the experience. I just wanted it. And I got it. And actually it was a great experience. And I had to literally write it off and say, okay, you know what, that £500 represents for me the reason why I do the negotiation masterclass on the toytalks.com website. It represents to me negotiation where there is an impasse, whereby I can't even negotiate because somebody who has eroded my ability to do it or eroded my leverage. Yeah? And for me, that wasn't a win-win. That was just middle ground. I don't even call it win-win. It's just a middle ground. And I know that I benefited more from that than the $500 they paid me. But I recognise that it's almost like I had to do it because I didn't know the next time I'd have an opportunity to do a panel, because panel discussions don't happen all the time. You know, for me, it's more me delivering on my own or delivering to like CEOs and HR and being able to do all of that. I don't get a lot of opportunities, and I think within the last 2 years, I'd say I've only done 3, that one being the first one. So that was quite interesting, to be honest. And I really wanted to share that with you guys and let you guys know because it's important. Because, you know, it's like when you go for a job role and you try and negotiate and you think, why have I hit this impasse? And they say, oh, there's somebody else that's interested in the job. It may be that person's cheapening themselves for the role and that desperation. But I'm going to go on the record and say, organisations don't automatically go for the cheapest person. In fact, sometimes that could be counterintuitive and also lends itself to the fact that who wants to hire someone that cheapens themselves? And it makes sometimes the informed person that they're cheapening themselves for an organisation will look further and say, actually, if this person is willing to cheapen themselves, are they going to give me cheap labour and cheap work? That's where people start, people start thinking. Like, I've gone for job interviews before and I've been told that somebody, there's another person that earmarked for the job and they're going to take a lower salary. But yet I have negotiated and I've stayed in my position and they've gone with me. Yes, because people respect what they can value. People respect what they value. They do. They respect what they value. You buy a pair of trainers and you spent all this money and you worked hard for it. You place a value on it. You're not just going to throw them on the floor. You're going to clean them up. You're going to put them wherever. But if it's just a cheap pair of I say cheap pair of trainers, but if it's a pair of trainers that didn't cost that much, you're not really going to afford it the respect of like looking after it, are you? Not really. Because for you, actually, the where to value, do you understand? And I think we need to start looking at things in that way. But the disappointing thing is that non-black people don't cheapen themselves in quite the way black people do. And I will continue to advocate for not only the negotiation masterclass, but advocate for honest and frank conversations about money. And this is why on my vlogs, so my vlogs go live in November, probably the end of November. This is why I'm stripping certain things back. So for example, I'm vlogging my traditional wedding and I'm actually going to tell you the cost of stuff. And where I can't give you a specific cost because, for example, people's costs change, they fluctuate, I will give you a range and what I believe is reasonable, because people don't really talk about that much. And I'm going to talk about it. There's no point me telling you about my journey to the trad and telling you the do's and don'ts and how to pick vendors and what a vendor shakedown looks like. There's no point me talking to you about those things without also talking about how much it actually costs, being that open and frank, because I don't want you guys who like how I was when I entered public speaking and there was no benchmark for me. So I had to do other things, and luckily for me, it's paid off, right? But I definitely feel as though because there's not a lot of cost transparency in certain things, for example, weddings, then you have vendors that move crazy, charging you big stupid money for makeup and cake. I don't understand. I'm not asking you to make me look like a clown. I didn't ask you to overline my lips. Why are you charging me £1,000? What's all that? What's all this? What's all that? Cake, common cake that I can go to Marks and Spencer's to go and pick up, you're telling me is what? 7 what? 700 what? You're crazy. Crazy. But it happens, and it happens because where we don't allow ourselves to be educated with knowledge, society will take advantage. And that is the truth. If we do not allow ourselves access to the knowledge, society takes the piss. You don't think that non-black people don't realise that as a community we don't have frank discussions? Do you not think they see that? Of course they do, and they exploit it. Because what they're doing is they're exploiting your ignorance for their gain. Oh, you can't talk about how much you earn. No one talk about that. These times, the non-black people are earning 4 or 5 times more than you. And you're thinking you're earning something, and then you compare it, or you accidentally see something left on a photocopy machine, and that's a reality check. It's like a slap at night. A slap, you just wake up, what's up? It's insulting. But what's even more insulting is, as a community, we don't have these discussions about money. We're not frank enough. You know, someone said to me the other day, you know, there are certain things you just don't share. And of course, I understand privacy, but not sharing just to, like, for instance, I told you guys, I always wanted to buy my car outright. Yeah? I paid $12,500 for my Audi A1 Sport. I tell you. Because I know that you over there may want to buy an Audi too. And you've seen one advertised for 16 grand, same plate as mine. If I didn't share that, your benchmark is 0. So you might even pay that 16 grand. Not knowing that over here I paid 12 and a half grand. The power of sharing means that we get a fairer chance at certain things. We share the brands who are doing bullshit. means that we call them to account. Like, for example, because I know that it is an endemic in working with brands, that their lead time from delivery to payment can be anything from 60 to 90 days. I'm going to tell you guys right now, whether you are a brand, whether you're an organization, you engage with me, Toya Washington, you pay at least a 50% deposit upfront. If you cannot give me a purchase order, you pay everything upfront. I do not do deliver now, money later. I'm not layaway. My name is not, what's this layaway? I'm not one of them. I'm not doing that. You can't get me on credit. You have to pay cash dollar. That is it. And I think it's important that I say this because, again, I don't think there's a lot of people in our community that understand the leverage that they have. And this is why I do talk about in the negotiation masterclass how to use leverage, how to gain leverage, and what actually is leverage and how you utilize it for your benefit. Now, I didn't create this masterclass or the masterclasses just to create them. I created them to invest in my community, invest in the knowledge bank, so that you can start cashing in on that knowledge bank for your own success. And we've heard so many success stories. People who have written in, people who have sent me DMs, people who have sent me emails, people who have communicated how amazing they have transformed their career purely by engaging in the masterclasses and on the podcast. So I am sowing into my community. The tools are there. You have to access them. And there has to be work that we have to do to know our value. If you still do not know your value, that means you are being undervalued, because somebody somewhere knows your value. People would not hire you to do a job, hire you to do a campaign, hire you to do anything if they didn't see something in you. So my question is, why don't you see it in yourself? Or do you not see it in yourself because you can't quite believe that somebody would want to engage with you? Then it's then up to you to find the tools to inform your interactions with them. So I will not work with any brand who does not give me money up front. You have to give me at least 50%. You have to. I can sue you for the rest. Yeah, I will sue for the rest if you do bullshit. Imagine delivering something for somebody and you have 30-day payment term, because my minimum payment terms are 14 days. So if I charge you 50%, then the remainder is due 14 days after delivery. I will take you to civil court for the money. You will get 3 reminders. The last reminder will include costs of making an application to the court. I don't play games, because you are getting paid monthly. You are getting paid weekly or bi-weekly. I have to pay my bills too. And this is how we need to start looking at ourselves like a business. Whether you are a perm employee, part-time, fixed term, whether you work in the corporate world, whether you work in public or private sector, you are a business. You are. You deliver a service and you get paid. The only difference is that you're not a UK recognised business, i.e. you're not registered on Companies House, etc., pay taxes. But we are all individual business pods. That's how I look at things. That's how I look at my life. Some of us happen to have registered businesses. But the difference with people's registered business is if they're keeping it afloat. That's all, period. And I think that we need to be very honest about the reasons behind why content creators, business owners are not being paid properly. We need to be honest. It's because we do ourselves a disservice. You know, I can't, for example, I've already had a company reach out to me and said, oh, listen, we know you're doing vlogs. We want to send you some stuff. We really want you to do a review for us. So I sent them a rate card. And they said, yeah, but we're sending you products. I said, where do you stock your products? They said, Boots. I said, oh. So I could go to Boots and buy it with my Boots Advantage card points, because I've got a lot of points. I says, there is no value in you sending me your products alone. You have to pay me for a review. And the conditions of that review is I am going to be honest to a fault. So you better really believe in this product, because if I do not like it, I reserve the right to not only say it, but to explain the reasons why. But you giving me products in lieu of payment is not going to work. Now, it's very different to a business just sending me stuff and said, Toya, we saw you on Instagram, we just wanted to send you this. That's my choice then if I post or not. If I don't want to post, that's my business. And that's happened before. Brands have just said, oh, we're going to send you something. I don't even post it. Maybe also because I don't really like it or I haven't had the opportunity to try it out. But it's at my discretion. But when you start engaging with me for a particular service, money needs to exchange hands. Yeah? If we start being clear about rules of engagement with us, these businesses will soon change the way in which they do business with us. When we change the way we engage in business with these companies, they will change the way they engage in business with us. Have you heard? So anybody who has things outstanding, it's because you're not treating your business like a business. If you owe T-Mobile EE3 money, they will send you reminders. They may even call you and then they shut shit down. From there, you can end up in court or you'll get a CCJ. Am I lying? So why don't we learn from these businesses and understand how we need to do business? I'm so disappointed in the fact that if we were to just strip everything back, we are a few revelations away from someone's Twitter rant about a particular brand who hasn't paid them but has paid her non-black counterparts or his non-black counterparts. We are a couple of tweets away. We have had a whole lockdown. We have had the resurgence of Black Lives Matter where, as a community and content creators, we were making money. They needed us, they wanted us. But are they paying you? Are they paying you on time? Because it's also one thing as well to pay someone. But to not pay someone on time is disrespectful. Let me tell you this. I've had a company who paid... I had a company who was supposed to pay 50% upon signature of the terms and conditions. And the 50% was due 14 days after signature, but in advance of me doing anything. So I won't leave my house unless you've at least paid your deposit. I will not produce anything unless you've at least paid your deposit. That one's a fact. And they were late in paying. So it got to day 17. And my assistant said, should I chase? I was like, no, I'll do it. I said, if you do not pay this by midday today, nothing is happening. They rang me. I'm not picking up. I need an audit trail. They said, Toya, it's going to be on the next payment run. Of course it's going to be on the next payment run because I told you I'm not delivering anything. Yeah? This asset is not delivering. Because you know how much you have for that campaign budget. You yourself get paid once a month. So why do you think that you cannot deliver on something that you signed for, but you're happy for me to deliver the service in lieu of that payment? It's not going to work. I need a reason to get out of bed in the morning. I need a reason to deliver. Money, I just need to hear jingle, jingle. Yeah, jingle, jingle makes my eyes open. Yes, darling. Because the reality is, money is currency. And you still have bills to pay. You got bills to pay, you got mortgage to pay, you got electricity bill, gas bill, we got mortgage, we got things to pay. So it is completely irresponsible and ridiculous for a business, a brand, a company to expect you to give and not gain. And those of you who are so grateful for these companies approaching you, and you show them that you're so, oh my God, I'm going to die on the line, oh my God. Oh, no, when it comes to money, you pay me at the end. Yeah, they pay at the end. End of time. Get it together, please. That being said, let's move on to the juice of this podcast episode. So, I don't know what it is about white men, middle class, white men, who continue to perpetuate this violence against black women. I don't understand it. I don't understand it because there's no roads there. Remember I told you this workplace that I'm working, they're mad. I've told you. But I know that my assignment is not over. And so Deborah, my boss, she sent an email. She said, she introduced a guy called, let's call him Andrew. So she said, Andrew, please put time in each of these consultants' diaries. You must meet them. And she put the name in order of hierarchy. That's what she did. And I realize it now that I've paid attention. You know where my name was? Oh yeah. So Andrew then put time in my diary. And I had to reschedule it for the next day. Because just she put time in my diary's not open just because you sent invites. That's not how I work. Look in my calendar. And I met him and everything. My first impression was, I didn't have one. I was like, okay. I wasn't, And one thing is as well, whether I'm new or the person is new, I observe what they say, how they hold themselves out, how they introduce themselves. He was telling me all the things he's done, all of this. I downplayed myself. I said, yeah, I've been here for almost a year. I'm a consultant here. I work on these projects. I lead on this project. That was it. There was nothing I said to him that he didn't already gather from the email intro from Deborah. So he was already tasked with a piece of work. We're consultants. Listen, they say hit the ground running. They really mean it. Be running and hit it on the ground. So on the Friday, he put time in my diary and a couple of the other consultants. And in that diary, because he already had a particular project, we had to basically tell him what we needed him to do as part of that particular project. So we spent an hour and a half. This man wasn't making any notes. That's not my problem. Maybe he's got photographic, I was about to say photographic hearing, photographic memory. Maybe his retention of information is better than mine. I'm dyslexic at the end of the day. My learning disability means I do write things down. Anyway, my dear. Or my dears. So you can imagine how astonished I was. Yeah? When on Monday, my man's putting in a call for 9 a.m. Now, first and foremost, everybody knows I'm not a morning person. Don't do that. But secondly, 9 a.m. on a Monday. These times you're still catching up on the emails from Friday evening. So I already knew that this one is tone deaf. Yes, you have to start building picture quick because you need to know who you're dealing with. I said this one's tone deaf and entitled. He feels entitled to your time. And he's not looking at no one's diaries. He then also put a meeting in for 4 o'clock. So remember, we had an hour and a half, almost 2-hour meeting on Friday. He's now putting another meeting for 9 and another for 4. Are you all right? Is everything okay back home? So because he's new, I thought, let me just go to this 9 o'clock call. I was like, I've got a couple of minutes to spare. But I know that my colleagues are not going to join that. And lo and behold, my colleagues didn't join. So it's just me, T, there by myself. So he's asking me how I am. I said, I'm fine. I said, I did, and I emailed him maybe half an hour to 30 minutes before he ignored my email. So I said, oh, I emailed you just before this meeting. Did you see it? He said, no. These times, I know he saw it. I said, I did ask what the reason for this meeting was because it wasn't in the meeting invite. There was no reference to what this was about. Only the title was the same title as the meeting that we had on Friday. He said, yeah, I put it in because I wanted to know what the issues are. I said, yeah, but we told you that on Friday. In fact, we all took it in turns to feed into this project and tell you what the issue is. Well, we've done that already. So we need you to put it in like a racy for us. We told you what we needed. He said, yeah, but are you then trying to say maybe that you don't have any issue? I said, that's not what I said. We all told you collectively what our individual issues were with this project. And I was very vocal about it. What I said, maybe the better question to ask is, he says, yeah, a better question. I just ignored him. This is what happens with white men, middle class white men. When you challenge them, how dare this come back from this black girl? How dare this black girl challenge me? Elite privilege. I'm going to challenge you because you're in my domain. I'm going to challenge you because I work hard to get here. I'm going to challenge you because what you're doing is not making any sense. I'm going to challenge you because I do not have to justify my existence to you. So I said, maybe the better question is, what is it over and above what was shared and discussed on Friday do you need? I don't know. That was his response. I don't know. I said, okay, so back to the initial question. Why did you call this meeting? He said, oh, you know what, Toya, I think you're being disingenuous. I said, sorry? He said, I think you're being disingenuous. I said, okay. First and foremost, look around you. You sent this email invite to 4 people. Only 1 turned up. So that will tell you how serious people are taking this meeting of yours. I said, secondly of all, let me go on the record to tell you something. Don't you ever in your life, in your existence, in your capacity as a new person here, ever in your life, call me any other name other than Toya. Do you know the definition of disingenuous? Can you spell it? Do you know what it means? Basically, you're telling me that I'm being untruthful. Basically, you're telling me I'm being conniving. Basically, you're telling me I'm not genuine. Who are you? I said, you started here on Thursday. And that's what you're coming to tell me. Because I'm asking you why this meeting is here. You've now put another meeting for 4 o'clock. I'm even asking you why. I said, maybe you thought that you can come here and save the day. He goes, yeah, well, I'm coming here to advise you. I said, I don't need advice from you. What advice are you going to give me? I'm so sorry. Maybe somebody hasn't told you my credentials. I don't need your help. I said, if I need your help, I have colleagues who are seasoned that I can approach. And maybe you do not know about me. Ask around. Ask around. But if you expect me to explain myself to you because you think you're here to save me, I'm sorry, Andrew. It seems like you're going to have to save yourself because you can't even get people to turn up to your meetings. I said, but please be aware that if you call me any name or if I hear the name disingenuous again, not only will I take it seriously, but I will ask that your tenure here be reviewed. And I hit the leave button. I put the phone down. I did. I've been insulted in this place that I've worked at. I've shared with you all the different things I've experienced here. But you know the commonality between all of them? They're all white men. Every last one of them, they're all white men. Every last one. That is the common denominator. White men. In this particular industry, yes, it's dominated by white men. But when they see black women, it's like a red rag to a bull. They don't want to hear you. They don't want to see you, and they make it abundantly clear to you. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? That's the challenge. I've managed to make myself not only a subject matter expert, I'm very valued. I've made myself incredibly valuable. Incredibly valuable. I've delivered and I'm bloody respected here. All of that took an investment. It took investment of time and also action. I'm not talking shop. People will tell you here. You know how people know about me and this team? It's by others talking about me. You come to me for help and I can help you, I'll help you. When I hear from other people that people speak highly about me in other meetings, that's how serious it's gotten now. Because I not only work hard, but I'm a team player and I'm collaborative. But I'm loyal to one team, and that's Team Toya. I'm loyal to one team, and that's Team Toya. I've watched people come and go like a revolving door here. But the issues I have had are with white men. All white men. Let's talk about that. I made a stand. I said, no, you're not going to talk to me like that. Oh, no. I have to nip that in the bud quick. Because there's no one else on that call. Just me and him. He wasn't expecting that. I'm telling you that he didn't even mean to say the word disingenuous. That was his subconscious coming out. Do you know what is disingenuous? That a black woman can be in the position I am in, doing what I do, questioning him, who he thinks he was born into this. Because society tells him that he's elite supreme, and that privilege is like a badge, a passport that can get him through anywhere. And I'm never going to have it. I'm sorry. I'm past the stage in my career where I'll tolerate nonsense from a white man or any non-black person, because I know that the pursuit of what they're doing is purely predicated on racial stereotypes. Purely. They don't want to see us, they don't like us, but they'll hire us because they know we're best in class at what we do. They know that not only are we best in class, but in comparison, we are number one. We are. Because we know that we have to go over and above to educate ourselves, be it through experience or academia. We have to do more than the average. So already, the level don't change. But I had to say no. You've heard how I've dealt with certain situations, and I look back and I wouldn't change anything of how I've dealt with those situations. Not one. Because everything through that situation taught me something new about myself, about working with non-black people, and actually the understanding the dynamics of workplaces. And especially as a lot of us are working remotely, the dynamic is slightly different. And equally, we can walk away. Because for me, when that man was talking, telling me I'm disingenuous, just because I'm asking you the reason for the call, how many of you put calls in or ask to put calls in and ask you the reason? Is that not just a normal thing? I'm asking you. And I even put in an email so you can share with people. I don't care. I've got nothing to hide because I'm asking you a question. So when you're calling me disingenuous, on that your remote Teams meeting, you're disrespecting me in my own house. Because me, I'm in my house as I'm taking this call, remote working, you're disrespecting me in my own house. That's not going to happen. I had to make him feel stupid because he thought this self-importance. So since you're so important, who came to your meeting? Who? I had to let him know. I'm only here because you're new. So I just took pity. I thought maybe, you misunderstood something. Yeah. I will drag you in the most professional way. When the phone drops, you will just go to the mirror and be looking at yourself because you're confused at your own stupidity. I'm not having that. Whenever I see a black woman in my profession or just in any profession, the level of respect I have is a lot, because I know we have that look in our eyes when we look at each other. We know how far we've come. We know we're suffering. And because unfortunately, suffering has been part of our success. It's been part of our growth. We know how we had to break in. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So for me, especially when there's someone new, people tell you I'm not that person that talks. Especially someone's new or whatever, I'll just be watching. So to come now and be calling me names, it's acting until that other guy coming to write abuse on the emails. These people are brave. These people are bloody brave. I said grave. They're bloody brave. They are. And I've learned to just say no. I'm not going to accept that. That's not an acceptable way in which you're going to engage with me. It's a no. I was waiting on him. I even told him to go and tell Deborah. I said, before I hung that phone up, I told him to go and tell her. Because he has to start with calling me disingenuous. He'll have to explain that to my boss. He's got to explain that first, because before we will move, he will have to explain that. And he knows that that's a high jump that he's not prepared to jump on. He's not prepared. Can you see how sometimes you have to cast and bind them? You've got to cast and bind them. Because what they're good at doing is telling us how we're not good for the job or how we're not doing the job properly. They're good at unpicking our hard work. They're good at kicking us on the floor and telling us that we're shit. What they're not good at is confronting their own BS. They're not happy with it. They don't like it. I will help you see yourself in the mirror. Michael Jackson said he's looking for that man in the mirror. You too will have to look at the man in the mirror. I'm not having it. It's not on my watch. Because I realised that over the years, I've allowed myself in certain situations, especially in my earlier years, to be bullied and not even realise I was being bullied. to be bullied and not even realize. And that set me back several years because I had to then take time to build that confidence again. By then, years are passing. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. There is a privilege of being a consultant whereby I can use my mouth to whip them. But I was doing this when I was a perm anyway. That's why I learned it. Because I learned how to advocate for myself and say no as a perm, as a fixed term, as a part-timer. Being a consultant, there's a level of vulnerability because at any one time, depending on your termination rights within your contract, they could ask you to go. So you have to stand firm in what you do and be that subject matter expert and be able to understand the value you bring in an organization and intrinsically make yourself the fabric of that organization. And that's what I've done. Well, they've renewed my contract. Is it 3 or 4 times? I've renewed it 4 times. So that already tells you. My boss don't play about with me, you know. No. She doesn't. Because she knows, number one, not only am I good at my job, I'm very respectful. Very. I recognize that she is my manager and I afford her that respect. I've already observed her, so I know that she likes to be hyped. She wants to know and feel like she's the boss at all times. I'm happy for you to think that. That's cool. Because when I'm running my projects, I'm the boss of those projects. Me too, I will know how to boss those projects. I'm self-assured within myself, so I don't need to oppress, degrade anybody. I'm just not that person. Firm, dedicated and focused. That is what I am to work with, and I know that one. I don't play about things that have my name on it because your credibility is literally all you have in the world of work. Literally, your credibility. So when somebody systematically and committedly attacks your credibility, they're attacking you. So when you call me disingenuous, but you can't explain why you've said it, you can't spell it, and you damn well don't know the definition, I'm going to challenge you because you're challenging my credibility. And I can't have you running around and running amok. You can't do that. You can't do that. Oh, no, darling. No. Not on my watch. Not on my watch. No. I'm not going to let you do it. There are some things that you let slide, but not when it comes to your credibility. That's your character. That is your character. That speaks on you. I've been waiting for Deborah to come and say something to me. I've been waiting. Deborah not come, you know. She hasn't. And do you know why? Because Andrew knows he don't even have the guts to go to her and say nothing. Because he has to start. Because me, I already replayed it in my head. When he says, when my boss, Deborah, comes and say anything, I'll say, okay, bring him on the call. I say, Andrew, on so-and-so day, please can you recount to Deborah exactly what happened? And please start with the name that you called me. I'm going to do that. And one thing that middle-class, racist, because it's not all of them, it's some of them, white men don't like, is to be cross-examined. They don't like that. I will hold court. I'll hold court with you all day. I understand misogynoir as they call it. I understand structural systems, oppressive systems. And this is why I also say non-black people, because we know how power structure works here in society. And depending on the industry, I know for me, my industry is dominated by white middle class men. And a lot of these white middle class men, when you have conversations, they live in the suburbs. What do you call it? One of them lives Surbiton. One of them will live in Norfolk. And they will tell you, I wasn't raised with black people. They will confidently tell you, when they start talking that, London, it's eclectic or multicultural. What they're trying to say to you is they're not used to being around people who are not white. That's what they're saying. And I don't have time for that. I do not. Because you listen to their music, you listen to our rhythm and blues, you listen to our rap. So you are used to black people, but you're used to black people when they're performing for you. I will not perform for you because I am not a performer. I'm not your performer, and I'm not going to engage in that with you. But what you're not going to do, what you're never going to do, is get to call me any other name other than the name that I have been blessed with, which is Toya. I have to say no to that. Because what you do is when you set the rules of engagement and you say, no, that is not what I'm going to accept, they'll go and tell others. Because they know people like them that have the same ideologies. They know them. So when they go and talk about you, they'll say, please, don't go and talk to that one. No, don't do that. When you're going to speak to her straight. Yes. I've gone into certain meetings with junior staff, and the way they will talk, you know that they automatically assume they're more senior than you just because you are a woman and because you are a black woman. Then I just let them yeah themselves. When they've got themselves in a knot, in a twist, I'll just be looking at them, squirming. Then I've already planned how I'm going to do this then, how I'm going to manage this, how I'm going to do this. And I will use the system, my knowledge and experience to assert my authority. Before they know it, they're coming to me for everything. Because they're realising this is a vessel of knowledge. She's made herself a subject matter expert. She knows this better than us. So we need her as an ally. I make people to realise that the way you're going to need me is to be your ally here in this particular project, in this particular job, in this particular organisation. That's how I operate. No, you will not do BS, and no, you will not expect me to accept it. Some of us don't know how to say no at work. I used to be that person. I'd say yes to everything and just be drowning. I remember one time I used to say yes to so much, and I was the only person left in the office. It was 7 o'clock. Everyone had gone home on a Friday. I was still there doing yes at work. Last week, I got an email from someone quite senior from another department. She said, Toya, I remember I just come off of annual leave, by the way. Not like that means anything. Toya, can you do this and set this up and da-da-da-da-da-da? It was to do with the contract. I said, hi. Unfortunately, I do not have the capacity or the bandwidth to be able to take on any additional requirements. I have some deadlines. I've got my projects that I'm working on. I've been on annual leave for the last few days, and therefore I'm still catching up on emails. And I do not have the ability to be able to deliver what you require here because my bandwidth is limited and my capacity is constrained. So I've said the same thing. I've even said it backwards. Do you know where I learned that? My fellow non-black people. I say my fellow, but you know what I mean. Capacity and bandwidth. The way that we're using this word, I would just be looking at them. I didn't know that God had anointed those words in my own vocabulary. Yeah. Do you think I got a response? They never responded again. They didn't even respond. When they were doing please, they didn't care about my workload, my mental health. They didn't care. You know, when you keep saying yes, what you're basically saying to them is the parameter of engagement, the boundary doesn't exist. You can't say yes to everything, my dear. Because also, if you don't do it properly, they will come to you to blame you. They will not remember that you're now doing them a favour. They don't know. So my one is no. The one I say yes to, I call them quick wins. The ones I can do quite quickly. It doesn't mean that I need to spend all day there. It doesn't exert too much from me. Quick wins. Yeah. Because it is good to be good in the workplace. It is. But it's also understanding your ability to be able to also deliver, number one. But also if you have the bandwidth. When I was at a workplace, I was saying bandwidth and capacity, all this word, I was just be looking, the T was just doing da-da-da-da. I was like, what's capacity and bandwidth? This is a sophisticated way of saying no. See, in the workplace, people don't like the word no. They see it as you being resistant. You know, they're always trying to see us as resistant as black people. They always think we are protesting. Whether we are or not, they think that the word no means we're about to do an uprising. You know that, innit? Okay, cool. But sometimes no is there to protect my mental health. I've come to realise that if you don't say no, when you say yes, it's like a floodgate. So you have to ration your yeses. Be seen to be collaborative without having to overstretch yourself. Some of you think that the more you say yes, the more visible you become. That's not how it works. You see, because a lot of these people, they only remember the favour in the moment. They don't remember afterwards. These people would change quick. I remember there was this one woman, Leanne. Lovely lady, I thought. Jekyll and Hyde personified. She wanted help with something. I stopped what I was doing. I helped her. Then something happened down the line and I knew I needed her input. I called her. I said, Leanne, how are you? Toya, what do you want? This beggar from yesteryear that came with her begging tray. She didn't come with her begging bowl. She came with her begging tray. She needed my help to hit her deadline. This is how I put my pen down to help her. Then I ended up working late so I could finish my own work. Then me, I've come to you because you are my bottleneck and I need your help. You're now telling me, what do you want? So I told her. She said, yeah, Toy, I don't have time. Beep, 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 beep. Put the phone down. Then she had the audacity to email my boss at the time. Taya called me for this and I suggest that somebody tries to help her because I can't be wasting my time engaging in. That was Oyibo Pepe. Oyibo Pepe. Oyibos have, in this workplace, in my career, have really shown me something. These people will switch on you, You will even be questioning your insanity. Ever since that day with Leanne, I will never forget it. My mouth was open. Open! She was so rude, I remember going to the toilet and I cried. I cried because I couldn't believe that she was so disrespectful. And then she put it in an email just to let people know that I don't know what I'm doing. That's why she did that. It's like cement and brick all at the same time. That's it. From that day on, I said, no. A quick win that I can do today in 1 minute. Yeah, I'll do that. But the one where I'm suffering to break my back because what? No. That's not how World of Work works anymore. You know, back in the day, it was, oh, do me a favor. These people don't have, when it comes to us, they have this temporary amnesia. It is activated when it comes to us. Please try it. If someone asks you to do something and you're like, I can't do this, or maybe you don't know, just say, I'm so sorry. I'm so busy. Honestly, I haven't slept. Even I'm just exhausted. And it's been tough. I don't have the capacity or bandwidth at the moment. And I'm so terribly sorry. When my workload eases, of course, I will always be happy to help. Just try it. Kill them with kindness. I wrote it there. Yeah, you see how I said it. I wrote it like that. I did the double whammy. You can't come back. Till today I'm talking to you. Can't come back. No, you can't. I'm tired. No. Tell the truth. Tell the truth wherever you can. Please tell the truth. Because suffering yourself to make other people happy in the workplace, that in itself can play on your mental health. The need to be hyper visible because you think hypervisibility will give you face time and therefore access to certain doors. It doesn't always work like that. If you're constantly having to be hyper visible, that means you're constantly having to remind people you are there. You can't remind someone to see you who doesn't want to see you. Someone doesn't want to see you. It doesn't matter how hyper visible you are, they will not see you. And I think that's important that I say that. It's really important. The power of no. I definitely feel as though in my private life, personal life, or outside of Toya Talks, I would say that I've always struggled with no. And I think part of it is because I never like to see people suffering. It doesn't sit with me. And I always believe that if I can help, I should, because I know that God will never give me something more than I can handle, but equally, I've been blessed and I recognize it. However, I also recognize that I have in situations allowed myself to be taken advantage of because there's people who are disingenuous, see how I'm using that word, in their approach. Some people see what you are or who you are and what you can give, and people are position themselves to take advantage because they think they can. And learning to say no is also reclaiming the power over your ability to make choices. Do you understand? You know, I've often come on here and I've been very open about certain things. And I think when it comes to my charity work, I'm not, you know, because I think it's charity. So I think there's certain things that I shouldn't have to say because then it's not charitable. But I'm learning to find the medium between sharing the charitable things I do without divulging like a lot of detail enough to let you know that it does happen and it is happening. And I think it's important because the charitable side of what I do means a lot to me as well, because it's also helping people within our community as Black women. So you can imagine my astonishment on one Sunday, 6 a.m. I received a DM, and if you're listening to this, I actually don't care because it was so disrespectful how it transpired. Anyway, this young lady wrote to me and basically said to me that she had gone to Dubai on a business trip. She wanted to go to an exhibition. And she basically said, and this is long story short because I think there is an episode in this, because this is not the first time it's happened, but this is the first time it's happened to this magnitude. So she basically said she'd gone to this exhibition and the country that she was coming from, and I don't want to reveal the country, she knows the country that she came from, she's been living there and she has a bank account there. So when she went to Dubai, her card stopped working and now she is basically destitute. She called herself homeless. Can I either pay the hotel directly or give her the money? That's what this girl said. This thing was bothering me, you know, because I'm telling you this now, for those of you who don't hear, let me help you to understand. When I tell you I'm guided by my ancestors, take heed of this. Take heed of this. God is so good. Discernment. We've got a podcast episode about discernment. Go and listen to it. Go and refresh yourself. Discernment is being able to discern and understand. Okay, what is this? Questioning things. To be able to identify things that are not right. Red herrings. This is out of place. So I said to her, you've got a business? She said, yeah. I said, so you left this whole business to go to an exhibition and your card isn't working. So as a businesswoman, I asked her a series of questions. Remember, this is high level that I'm giving you. There's going to be an episode where I'm going to read exactly what I said, because this is an episode about carelessness as well. Anyway, she said, I said to her, so you went to this place, to an exhibition, a beauty exhibition, and you have one card. I said, well, that doesn't make sense because I have 2 current accounts. I've got a business account as well. I run a business. So if I needed to do something with my business account and there's no money, I've got a current account. So explain to me how you've been in this situation, because homelessness is serious. And where have you been staying for the last 4 days then? Because you said you got there 4 days ago. So she said that she went from one hotel to another. I said, oh, so you went to a hotel. Homeless means that you have nowhere to lay your head. But then she explained to me that they allowed her to stay a couple of days, that she paid with cash that she had on her persons. So you had cash on your persons. You've been eating. She said, yeah. She said that she's been asking her family for money, but nobody's responded to her. I'm a Nigerian woman. I'm an Igbo woman. Don't try this. Don't try and hush puppy me. Don't try this. And then I decided to ask her more question. And she was asking, I said, so what was your plans after this conference? She said, oh, afterwards she was going to go to South Africa. I said, but don't you think then, since you have no money, you've run out of money, you're homeless as you have said, you've got a ticket to South Africa, why wouldn't you change the ticket date? You go early, because clearly you can't financially afford to stay where you are. And I made it clear to her, I said, put him in a very uncomfortable position. Why have you asked me? Why? Because for me, this was an opportunity for her to be very honest. Why have you come to me asking me for money? And what I haven't told you guys is when I asked her how much money, She said 999. That's 1 penny from £1,000, isn't it? Just round it up. Nobody's coming to give you 999. So she came back. She said, "Oh, I know it's putting you in a difficult position, but this, that, and the other." So the girl's still pushing the lie because it's a lie. You're a liar. This is a lie. First of all, you said you're homeless. Homeless people don't stay in hotels. That's the first thing. And when I asked her why she asked me, she said that she was meditating and my name came to her mind. So she thought she would ask. My queens. So this has nothing to do with the fact that a day or two before I was in Cartier and Kay bought me some jewelry from Cartier. I posted on Instagram, Cartier. I just didn't show what the jewelry was. This has nothing to do with that. This destitution came 24 to 48 hours later. This is interesting. Do you know why I just decided to ignore her? You know when someone's desperate, you know. You know. But to say that you are homeless and you're staying in a hotel, not only are you staying in a hotel, on your Instagram, you're posting questions so that your followers can answer. On top of that, the things that you are uploading of your hotel doesn't look like a destitute hotel to me. That looks like a luxury Dubai hotel. I don't know what and then you have the cheek to come afterwards to message me and say, "Oh, even though I haven't responded to your message," you then take a picture of your return flight, alleged return flight, because it didn't have a date on it, to tell me you're going to South Africa. Why are you telling me for? That's not my business. I don't care. That's not my business. Because what you did was single-handedly try to erode the opportunity for me to help people who actually need my help. If I didn't know the power of no and the power of silence, if I didn't have that discipline of discernment, I would have given you that 999 and you would have ripped me off because you were not going to return that money back. It is irresponsible, if your story is to be believed, irresponsible that any type of business owner will find herself in Dubai during an exhibition with one card. You think I'm a stupid fool or what? The average person does not own one bank card. I'll tell you that much. Can you see the importance of saying no? I'm not going to suffer myself for somebody who tells me they're homeless, but you're staying in a hotel. I want you to explain the definition of homelessness. But she used thought-provoking words to cause me to act in a certain way because she thought, having studied my Instagram stories, that she'll be able to manipulate me. Do I look stupid or something? Do you think I'm stupid? Let me help you to know something. I have a learning disability. I'm dyslexic. But I am highly intelligent because of it. Highly. And I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm telling you a fact. Because of my learning disability, I'm highly intelligent. Because I've had to master my disability to attain success in the world of work and in life. That's not beans. That's not beans and potatoes. That's steak, meats. That's a big loaf. Let me help you. I make mistakes all the time. I'm a human being. But what I am not is foolish. What this lady didn't realize, because you're a lady, if I call you a girl, I'm basically allowing you to continue to perpetuate something that's not true. I had my tarots read. I can read tarot, but it's difficult for me to read myself. And this person doesn't know me that read my tarot. Do you know what this woman said to me? Your heart is so pure that you have to guard it. Don't allow your kindness to be taken, deemed, or believed to be stupid. That's what that tarot reader said before this happened. And that was across all aspects of my life, because that warning came from my ancestors. What the warning is, your kindness is as such that there are people who are potentially going to take advantage or attempt, and we need you to be focused because you have to protect your kindness and your heart. That means I have to get comfortable with no. You have to get comfortable with saying no. And I feel no guilt. No, I feel no guilt. Do you know why I feel no guilt? Because discernment has allowed me to discern this person who is not only being genuine, but I'm comfortable within myself that I do enough in my community and still doing. So I can't feel guilty. You're not going to make me feel guilty. While you are sunning it up in that your Dubai, some of us are working hard to build foundation for ourselves. You want me to believe a whole business owner, and then when I'm questioning you, you're telling me it's a side hustle. So your side hustle took you all the way to Dubai for an exhibition that you're now not going to anymore. You took cash in your pocket. You've got a card that doesn't work. I should give you 999 and then you give it back. Or I should pay the person. Do I look like a flipping wally to you? Do I look stupid to you? Just because my edges are coming back doesn't mean I'm edgeless. Don't ever in your life mess with my ancestors. Don't do it. And in that moment, it made me think, oh my God. But I know that the Lord I worship and the ancestors that cover and protect me will never fall my hand. When I tell you guys I'm spiritual, I know what I mean by that. I'm spiritual. I talk about the Lord because I understand the dynamics of Christianity, and there's parts of Christianity I take. Remember, in my younger years, I converted to Islam. Islam is a beautiful religion, and I take so many lessons and teachings from Islam. I am spiritual. Don't ever in your life, ever think I'm foolish. God didn't create me to be foolish. I'm doing the Lord's work, which means I have the Lord's covering, which means my ancestors are ever ready. Don't ever take my kindness for foolishness, because you will shame yourself. You can't message me anymore. You know that, don't you? And you've got to remember as well, I've got people around me that are my covering. I've got people that are around me that are my covering. When I told somebody close to me about this, FBI CID, that's all I'm going to say. Don't do it. But can you see the importance of saying no, not just in work, but in certain aspects of your life, knowing the importance of often protecting yourself and saying no? No, I will not accept this behavior. No, I do not have the capacity and bandwidth. No, I cannot do this. No, this doesn't make me happy. Recently, I was confronted with something in my life, in my personal life. And I've always told you guys, I never ask for anything. I always say, show me. Show me the things you want me to see and provide me the tools to deal with what you show me. And I was shown. Over and over and over again. Until I said no. No, I will not tolerate this. No, I do not have to tolerate this behavior. And no, I will not tolerate this. I just remove myself. What's my business? I will do anything it takes to protect my peace. So if I have to say no to you and it gets your nose out of joint, that's up to you. Find an alternative. I'm not sitting here, remember, I'm not advocating for not saying yes. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm talking about when within ourselves we feel guilty for saying no. You almost feel guilty for asserting yourself. You feel guilty for standing your ground. And that is rooted in feeling that you owe something to someone. That's rooted in also insecurity and fear. I've had to work through that. Even with my own family, I never knew how to say no. To the point that I was taken advantage of so much that I have people standing in my face saying, what have you ever done for me? This is why I have to save all the bank statements for the last 20 years. I've got no choice because these people have me believe that I've done nothing in my life before. I have to keep it there. Some people, especially when people who do not appreciate or understand your value. When people don't understand your value it's very quick for them to say, what have you done? I keep notes, comprehensive notes. I keep it. Not because I need to remind you, oh, who I am. Nah, it's to remind you what I've done when you tell me I've done nothing for you. Or I've done nothing. No, I've got to tell you, I've got to show you. People need to be reminded. I've learned that. Because I used to feel guilty with reminding people. It's like, you're trying to shove it in their face. You have to shove it because they didn't even know it was there in the first place. You have to say no to bad behaviour. I'm learning to say no to bad behaviour because ordinarily I just disengage. No, I'm not just disengaging. I'm going to tell you no and I'm going to disengage at the same time. People will only do what you give them ability to do. People will only do to you what you give them the opportunity to do. I've realised that. I'm in my 30s. It's taken me this long to get to this point to understand that fully in its entirety. There's something beautiful about going into your 30s and knowing that rather than being in the midst of your 30s and then it hitting you. I'm not sitting here saying to you that anyone's perfect because no one's perfect. We're imperfect human beings. We're imperfect. But when people are good people, they attract advantage takers. They attract BS. They do. So then we have to spend time, and I say we because that's me, spend time protecting ourselves so that we're not taken advantage of. Because what happens is, and I've watched this with one of my friends, she's been so taken advantage of by people that she's become very angry. And we've spoken about this, and she's given me permission to mention this, by the way. She's spoken about this to me. And, you know, she said to me, Toy, you've never asked me for anything, ever. And I don't know whether it's because you know that I have an issue with people wanting things or asking me for things, or whether you are just so independent within yourself that you don't ask for anything because you've learned to stand on your own 2 feet because no one's ever been there for you. I said it's probably a bit of both. But I look at my friend and I think, I have to avoid being that angry or getting to that level. That's to a point where you didn't even have any boundaries and you allowed yourself to be mishandled. And I'm so proud of my friend because she's agreed to go to therapy and she's in her 2nd week. And she says, Toya, I feel at peace being able to unburden myself, which is beautiful. But I hate the fact that there is a level of trauma that we have to feel and go through to be able to make sense of the reason why and the importance of saying the word no sometimes. No protects you, protects your space, and sometimes no often sets boundaries for other people. And I think that my heart is so full and I have so much love to give, and I recognise that I've given love to the wrong people. I've given love to the wrong people who have abused it. And I will go on record to say that that can't happen again with me. I'm very clear about my expectations of people, what I expect from them, because I know what I give and what I expect from myself. And I understand the importance of understanding things are not black and white, there's often grey. And I think that's part of my difficulty, is understanding there is grey. But I've got amazing friends around me who are and do see the grey, so they hold me accountable. And I have a great set of friends who are so protective over me that if it's a sniff of an advantage taker or a situation that is not great, they will call it out to me. They will call it out. And I'm so grateful to God for the learning lessons of life that have been often quite difficult, that have gotten me here to be the woman I am today, because it means that I've set boundaries and rules of engagement with me. I'm not going to allow myself to be used. I'm not going to allow myself to continuously be taken advantage of when people do not understand my value because they do not value themselves. That's never going to happen. I will call it out. I will say no. Woo! Wow. So we have a dilemma, and I think we've got time for it. I'm going to read it out. Just bear with me a moment. I am going to read it out. Let me get this dilemma up. Okay, so this is going well. Dilemma is up. Okay, this is going well. Right, okay. So, hi Toya, I hope you're well. I have been a long-time listener of the podcast and have messaged you previously on Instagram. Thank you for always taking the time to respond. I'm aware that questions like these need to be sent via email. I aim to keep it short and sweet. I was hired as a permanent member of staff working for a particular company, but contracted out to a larger company. I then applied for a non-contractor post at my organisation and got the role. In my interview, my current manager mentioned that I would be able to attend client meetings, and I said yes, that wouldn't be an issue. I spoke to the resourcing manager about the terms of the employment, if I'd be working from home or not. He wouldn't give me a straight answer and said, things change so much, I wouldn't be surprised if you were completely work from home. Now, the fact that he doesn't give you a straight answer is a red flag. I'm just going to say that now. That's a red flag. Because anything they say to you, even if they can't put it in a contract, it needs to be in writing. But obviously, the place you want to get to is put it in the contract, but it needs to be in writing. So it's not enough to say, things change so much, I wouldn't be surprised if you're completely work from home. That means you're not completely work from home. That's what that infers. Anyway, let's continue. Fast forward 6 months, things are opening up, and my current manager said to myself and the team that we will need to attend the office once a week. My contract says that whatever was on my previous contract will be extended onto my new contract. So basically, I'm contracted to work from home. I told my manager this, and she suggested I look into it further. I spoke to HR, who initially agreed with me that I'm work from home. This was via Teams and not in an email. So you're a long time listener and you know what I'm going to say to you. Did you take a screenshot of the Teams message? But again, just because it's on the Teams message, why didn't you follow it up with an email? Why? What's the reason? And you know what? I often think it's absent-mindedness, and sometimes I do think it's a little bit of carelessness. You're operating as a black woman in the world of work. Why would you've got a red flag already when you've asked direct questions, they're not giving you direct answers. Then you get flippant comments like, oh, things change all the time, I wouldn't be surprised if you work from home completely. Then you have a Teams conversation that you don't follow up. I asked for it to be written officially. No. Why should they do that? Why can't you do that? Why do you put the onus on human resources or your organisations to do things officially? Why? If you listen to the podcast, there are things and dilemmas and things that I've shared that shows you that that's not their responsibility. Your responsibility is to yourself to safeguard yourself. I didn't receive this, but instead an email from the Chief People Officer. Current situation. The Chief People Officer basically said they'll need to amend my contract to be in line with my colleagues. Oh God. Who are hybrid workers and not working from home. I have received the email attached today and I'm not sure how to respond, so I'm going to read the attachment. You do realise that organisations just can't change your employment contract at will. They need your consent. So what they're trying to do is masquerade your consent by by making it clear that their sole purpose is to align your employment contract with everybody else, because everybody else is having hybrid and has accepted that, and no one has pushed back or challenged it. So they're expecting you to fall in line. Desired outcome. Please could you advise on how I need to respond to the Chief People Officer? I would like to be remote and only attend customer meetings, which are not that frequent. I don't want to have to go in once a week. Thank you for all you do. I hope to hear back from you soon. So I went back to her and I said, I'll come back to her. I'm coming back to her now. So I am going to reach out to her. I think I know her Instagram account. I think she does follow me. So let me open the attachment and read. So it says, hi, I have reviewed your email below with both Catherine and Jasmine. I firstly wanted to thank you for your patience in us responding to this. And as you can imagine, these questions are somewhat prevalent for us at the minute. And we are still in the process of creating a hybrid working policy this year. In the new year, sorry. That said, I wanted to give you some guidance on the below. So let me get this right. They're in the process of a policy. They haven't got that policy, but they're going to give you some guidance. This is the guidance that you asked for, that they gave you in Teams message that they couldn't put in writing. But they're giving you guidance now because now they know they're about to be rumbled. With regards to the query about work from home and attending the office, we probably should update your contract in line with your no. So basically your contract says that you'll work from home. And now, because they know that, they now want to force you to change your contract so that it's not work from home, but show it's hybrid, so then they can contractually bound you to come in once a week, even though your current contract doesn't say that. That said, as it's currently the expectation, as Catherine advised, is that when your team get together in the office for team meetings, etc., that you attend to build the team interaction face to face. The frequency of this will be determined by your line manager, and guidance will be sent out on hybrid working policy that is in scope, but you're not a hybrid worker. With regards to working from, so she put a particular country outside of the UK, unfortunately this isn't something that we can currently offer. Maybe one of us to consider in the future. Why would you write that? Why would you tell them you wanted... So she put in a country. So she said, with regards to working from Zambia, I can say that. Unfortunately, this isn't something... You've messed this up. You've messed this up, darling. First of all, I need to congratulate you, because that's what I have to do. I have to give you your flowers, because you've got this role, and I definitely think it's important that we actually celebrate the win that is in here. You have this role, you've applied for it, this is what you've got, okay? But I'm going to just point a few things out to you. When you are at work, and I've seen a lot of these things come through, where this remote worker, you're like playing poker. Yeah, you're playing cards. You see when people play cards, they don't show them all the cards. They don't say, hey, hello, look at all the cards I've got, right? I'm going to win. You're not going to win that way. Why would you tell them that you want to work from Zambia before you've even dealt with the fact that you have to remain work from home? Because if you had dealt with that properly, you could have worked from anywhere in the world and they wouldn't have known. Do you understand where you've gone wrong? You've told them too much. Why you told them that, I just don't understand it. And there's no excuse that is going to make sense to me, especially when they've been running amok here with your work from home. So you're now asking me how to respond to this, and this is what I'm going to say to you. You send them a letter and say, hi HR, or whatever this woman's name is. Thank you for your email. As it currently stands, my contract is work from home, or whatever it says. Your request to amend my contract in line with other staff members is not a justification for amending my contract. And to amend my contract, you do need my consent. I am not consenting to this. If you want to bring out a hybrid policy, you must also use the opportunity to bring out a policy that guides my current contract. Otherwise, it will appear that hybrid workers are therefore getting preferential treatment over people who have contracts like mine. I have sought external advice regarding this, and I will ask you to honour the contractual obligations within my contract. Not only am I an employee here, I am also bound by my contract. Again, in seeking external advice regarding my contract, I am aware that this will have to be by consent. I have made various attempts to clarify certain things that have continuously remained ambiguous, which has put me in a disadvantageous position. I will ask that please, can I have confirmation, and whatever you need confirmation, you do it in bullet points. Further to this email, I look forward to receiving your guidance in accordance to my contractual obligations as a remote worker, but also the guidance that guides people who are remote workers with my contract. Whilst I understand whilst I understand that you now are seeking to align contracts to be hybrid, mine unfortunately is not hybrid, and I do not consent to this alignment. Yours truly. Oh, sorry, kind regards. Full stop. You don't have to go into no big long thing. But you've eroded your leverage. I'm just going to put you on a warning. You are going to be flagged as a warning because of this Zambia business. Why you told them, I'm not happy with you. I'm not happy with you. at all. Why do we as black women feel the need to overshare? Why? If you understand, like truly understand how to navigate white spaces, these people when white people are navigating the world of work, put privilege to one side. White people navigate the world of work very well because they have privilege. We know all of that. But what I mean is, they only give you as much as they want you to know. It's a need to know basis. When they're getting ready to do a takeover of the whole company, you're not even going to see it happen. You're not even going to see it coming. You know, they say rising of the ranks. These people rise the rank, eh? Somebody who started as a post office, post room person is now CEO of a company. Do you think that's beans? Do you? And the reason why I say white people is because we know how racism and power structures work, okay? That's why I'm saying that. But actually, non-black people, have you studied them? How they do? Why is it that for us black people, we always try to overcompensate for certain things by giving so much, and they use that then to whip us with it? Because I'm going to tell you this now. I've dictated how to write this letter, and you heard me stuttering. Because every time I see this with regards to working from Zambia, unfortunately, this isn't something we can currently offer. Maybe one for us to consider in the future. How can they consider it in the future if they're telling you they want everyone's contract to be hybrid? That is a disingenuous sentence. That is, you know why she wrote that sentence? To let you know that she knows that you know that you ain't working from Zambia. And that your sole purpose of this remaining remote is so you can work from Zambia. So now, even if they say, okay, fine, stay remote, you can never work from Zambia. I'm just letting you know. You can't do that. Because if they find out, they will invoke certain things in your contract, or they will manage you out. And I'm putting you on notice. Stop giving workplaces more information than they need. I am dyslexic. I have a learning disability. Some people are able to manage their dyslexia. Some people can't. Some people need support from their workplaces. And that's completely understandable. However, for me, I've been able to manage my dyslexia. Very, very difficult. Very. But I've been able to manage it. I can't now go and say, oh, Deborah, I'm dyslexic. Can I have, just throw it out there or just say it? Why? What's that? If me telling Deborah I'm dyslexic is not going to have her come and build an office in my house, it's not going to have her change my chair, and it sure as hell is not going to make her give me less work. So unless I'm directly benefiting from sharing this information with her, why would I do it? Why? If I needed assistance at work, yes, because the benefit there is that if I share this with you, I'm getting assistance from work that can help me do my work and deliver on my job and get paid. Fine. But since I know that that's not what they're going to give me, and since I know that's not what I want, why will I go and give her more information than she needs? Why? It's like when you guys go to work and give your colleagues your social media handles. Why are you doing that? Some of you will have landed there 24 hours and already you're giving them social media handles. Why are you giving them access to your life? Like this black queen, why are you giving them access to your wants? Why? These people that can't give you a straight answer, you told them you want to work from Zambia. These people that are pushing back on your remote working, asking you to go hybrid, these are the type of people that you're telling that you want to go work from Zambia. That's incompatible with what their objective is. Their sole objective is to get you guys to change your contract to suit them. And the problem with hybrid, you see the word hybrid, let me explain something to you. They're going to give guidance about hybrid, but it's open to interpretation by who? Your line manager. Listen, they can tell you to come to work 4 days a week and 1 day a week from home. That's still hybrid. Yes, let me help you. There was one job, one consultancy company approached me about. They said, yeah, it's hybrid. I said, I don't want a hybrid. It has to be fully remote. No one's going to give you fully remote. I said, really? I've already had two job offers that are fully remote. The reason I've said no is because of X, Y, Z. I said, so what's this fully remote you're talking? They said, oh, every Wednesday you have to go to the... So I said, what is this hybrid you're talking about? They said, every Wednesday you have to go to the office. I said, is that hybrid or bondage? I said, that's nonsense. That's nonsense. I said, that's no different to what most organisations were doing anyway. I said, where's the benefit? So I should come to work Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, but I should be so grateful that midweek I'm working from home. No. I said, I'll put the phone down. So let us contextualize what is happening here. They cannot legally force you to change their contract. You have to agree. You have to read. And the thing is, you're not reading your employment contract. I know you're not reading it, because if you read it, it would be clear to you that it has to be by mutual consent. And mutual consent of the contracting parties is you and the organisation. It's in their best interest to have everybody change the contract. And if you think the only clause they're going to change is hybrid working, then you're having a bubble. They're going to change other clauses. For example, they're going to change clauses that precludes them of any liability. When they ask you to come to the office, if you get COVID, they'll preclude themselves of any liability. Meaning that you can't sue them if you get COVID because you came to work, because they've told you in the clause that they're not responsible. You're going to see it. But there's one girl, I've been advising her, because they tried to preclude liability for COVID. She sent me the clause. She said, Toya, there's something not right about this clause. I explained it to her. I said, don't take my explanation. Go and also research XYZ, XYZ. She researched it. She said, Toya, I can't believe what I'm seeing. I almost signed this. It's my sister that told me to send this to you. I said, yeah. So that's why I'm doing the employment contract remote masterclass in January. I suggest that you attend. And I'm going to make a note of this, because I'm not going to assume that everybody knows it. I know it because of the field of work that I do. I'm a commercial contract consultant, as many of you know. So I understand contracts up and down, back to front. I understand them. And the one that I don't understand, I know somebody who can explain it to me. Yeah. My personal affairs is handled by a lawyer, by the way, because I'm too invested in my personal affairs. I need sometimes an independent view. So that goes to show you that we don't know everything. But when it comes to the world of work and employment contracts and navigating the world of work, you're in the right spot. You are. Toya Talks is the right place to be. And I think that I'm glad that you've written in, because I think that hopefully you're going to take what I say in the spirit in which I'm giving it to you. But also it's a confirmation as well in the importance of understanding how the commercial space is changing and the need of organisations to force, manipulate and coerce people into changing their contracts. Now, they can't have a blanket rule. It's funny, isn't it? Listen to this. They can't come out with a blanket rule saying you have to change your contract. They're telling you that they've got policy. What about the policy, the existing policy that exists already that guides your own contract? Where is that one? That's the one that will tell you it's expired. It's not expired because your contract is still live. And they still don't have a policy, but what they do know is they need to change your employment contract. Can you imagine? They haven't even finalized the policy. They don't have one, but they just focus on changing the contract. What does that tell you? That they've already concluded what they need to do. The policy is just a smokescreen to just support them in their crusade to change everybody's. And you think it's just hybrid. Remember, I told you it's not that hybrid thing there. So they're going to change the mobility clause to include a clause about hybrid, but go and check all the clauses. And what they do is sometimes they put you in a tight corner. They'll tell you have to sign it there and then. No, you don't. You do not have to sign there and then. You can take it away. You can say, I want external legal advice. You can say, I need 10 to 15 days or 14 days or 20 days. You can do it. Don't allow these workplaces to bully you. They'll bully you in their job, bully you contractually. No. And some of you do not want to stand up for yourself because you're fearing that you're going to lose your job. Well, you'll probably lose it anyway, because they'll find a way to use that contract to even manage you out once you've allowed them to even amend it. They realize that all these existing contracts, that the current employees have a lot more power. And what is now, the penny is now dropping, that employment contracts, they need refreshing. Because some people will have employment contract for over 20 years and you can't do nothing, they're protected. But really, there should be a refresh, I'd say every 3 to 4 years, of employment contracts. But HR are too lazy. Some of them don't even have the capacity to even understand what's in your contract. Some of them They're not even qualified to do HR job. I've got friends who are in HR and they are fully qualified. Some people, they're not qualified. They just found themselves there. They applied. Their friend got them there. Their auntie, they know, their cousin got them there. Do you understand? Some of them don't even have the ability to understand employment contracts. They're just doing what the head of HR told them to do. You have the small number of ones who understand HR, governance and policy properly. They understand it proper. And if you had proper HR people, they would go and get external legal advice. Because what they're doing is not right. It's a form of manipulation. And those people who do not know will fall for it. By the time they now try to use their employment contract, these workplaces would now use that same employment contract that they changed. They were doing softly. See how they wrote this email nicely, softly. Wait until you respond. You're going to see their true colours come. Because they're going to realise there's a resistance here. And they're going to try and force their will. And you have to stand your ground. You have to. But what I don't like is you telling them that you wanted to work from Zambia. Listen, I've got a friend and he's remote. And he recently came back. Was it from Bahamas or Barbados? It's one of them. Yeah, he's been working from there. Anytime they call, he goes on a Teams call. He changes background, so your cut is blurred. He's in his hotel room. That guy has been in either Barbados or Bahamas. He's been there for 3 whole months. 3 months. I've only said to him, I said, make sure that nothing happens to your laptop. Because when they dispatch one from the IT to your house, you will not be there. So just be careful with your laptop. Because Toy, don't worry. Anytime there's a problem, I'll just take annual leave. I'll catch a flight and come back. That's somebody who is using their situation to work for them. That's somebody that's doing work-life balance. Anyway, guys and girls, my queens, my fellow sisters, let's leave it there. This episode, the power of no. I hope those who need to receive this message are grabbing it. I'm asking for your ancestors to cover you, to show you what you need to see and provide you with the tools to deal with what is revealed to you. The reality is the world of work is like a jungle. And I have to continue to remind you, this podcast is not just for people in the corporate world. I'm no longer in the corporate world. I haven't been in the corporate world for a few years now. It's just for Black women in the world of work, irrespective of the sector, irrespective of your pay bracket, irrespective of your tax bracket. As a Black woman, as Black women, we navigate the world of work differently. We navigate life differently. And whilst there is still a need and there is a requirement, I will continue to deliver the Toy Talks podcast. All I ask is you take the lessons, you revisit past episodes, you share and have conversations. I know I'm in a lot of you guys' group chat because I get told, I get screenshots as well. But have the conversations with your friends. Speak about it. I'm not sitting here saying the world of work is easy. I'm not. Listen, if it's easy, me too, who have attained success in the world of work, you've seen the issues that I go through. And I share and I come here and share it with you. Because I need to also educate you guys on how I deal with them. Because I don't know, maybe if you know people who are consultants, I've been consulting where I am for 1 whole year. It's almost unheard of. We don't do that. After 3 to 6 months, you're out. Longest time I've contracted somewhere is 8 months. I don't stay longer than 6 months. I'm out. There's a reason why I'm here. There is a reason. There is a spiritual reason. I know. And there's a physical reason. And I know what they are. And as time goes on, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you. For those of you who do not know, I'm vlogging on YouTube. Yes, I have my issues with YouTube, but I recognize also that to expand my brand and create awareness of my brand and what I do here on the Toy Talks podcast and platform, it's also important that I also show different aspects of my life as well. And for me, the vlogging is an opportunity for me to strip back everything and show you guys at the core kind of what I do, like what my day-to-day looks like. And there are so many things I get to reveal to you through the vlog, exciting things, life-changing things, but equally things that I think are important. I'm chartering my traditional wedding. I'm chartering a few other life changes and life events. And also as well, I'm showing you what it is like to balance being a consultant and having a business. And there are a lot of business meetings, ideas, conversations that I had, and I'm going to bring you in. And I'm vlogging retrospectively, which means I've started vlogging from August. So when the vlogs go live in November, you're going to be seeing what happened from August. And I think it's a nicer way to kind of build on everything that has happened, but also it gives me the opportunity to not feel pressured in putting out content, because the content's there and I'm continuing. Even when the vlogs go live, I'll continue to vlog and it will still be retrospective. So for example, in January you may still be seeing things that happen in November or October, which I think is really nice. And also as well, like I said, I'm just going to be stripping things back and just having that conversation and educating you guys on other things in terms of life and life things and things that we do. And, you know, I'm even going to show you how I do my vision board for 2022 without showing you the contents of my vision board, just things like that. And I don't think my life is particularly interesting, but I'm told that my life is. And I've invested heavily on the vlog. So I've got a new iMac. I'm upgrading my camera, which I do like my camera. It's a Canon. I'm upgrading that. And I've got some new lighting. And we're just going to really just have fun on this journey called life. I'm taking you to a lot of my public speaking events, a lot of my engagements, brand conversations that I had. I'm doing it all. And I'm doing it for you. I'm doing it for my fellow Black queens, because I feel like there is a level of honesty that is not always seen on social media. There's a few people that I think are very honest. But I definitely think that for me, it's not about the numbers anymore. I've grown up a lot. It's actually about the engagement. It's actually about awareness and education. And that's what I'm about. So if you're interested and you want to follow my vlogs, my YouTube channel name has changed. I have rebranded. And my YouTube channel name is called At Home with Toya. And I think that's quite fitting, because I am in your homes. You guys listen to me on the vlogs, maybe on the way to work, maybe at home. And also as well, it's just home is where I feel the most comfort. It's where I feel safe. So I thought it'd be nice, At Home with Toya. And I will give you and share the date of the first vlog, and it will be every Sunday. I will be uploading a brand new vlog, because I think it's really nice, like a Sunday evening, to watch vlogs. I know that I do, so I thought that would be nice. And I'm open to suggestions if you guys want it to be in the week, but I think Sunday's the better day. I feel it is, because I then do the Toy Talks podcast every Tuesday. It goes live and stuff. So I think it's better managed that way. If you want to follow me, maybe you want to book me for your organisation. Maybe you want to have racial awareness, diversity training, or you want conversation about white privilege and the racist structures in which we operate in, or maybe you want to have a conversation about confronting racism, then of course I can be booked. The website does have a bit of information, but if you want further information, then email hello@toytalks.com. If you have a work-related or life-related dilemma and you want us to address it here on the Toy Talks podcast, then please email hello@toytalks.com. If you are interested in any of the masterclasses, I will encourage you to go ahead and have a look at the masterclasses. Bearing in mind also, we will be doing a live, well, I say live, but it is live actually, remote masterclass in January, and the details of that will follow shortly. So please look on my social media, because once the tickets are gone, they're gone, okay? But if you are interested in any of the masterclasses, they are all available on the toytalks.com website. CV Masterclass, Interview Skills Masterclass, Negotiation Masterclass, Redundancy Masterclass, and the Mother and Daughter Masterclass. If you want to follow me on social media, then I'm very active on my personal social media, which is Toya_Washington. The Toya Talks podcast Instagram page is Toya_Talks. If you want to follow me on Snapchat, which gave birth to Toya Talks, then it's Toya Washington, all one word. Follow me on Twitter, Toya_W, with the hashtag Toya Talks or Toya Talks podcast, or follow me on TikTok, which is Toya Washington, all one word. I haven't uploaded on TikTok for a couple of weeks, but I will be uploading some content. And I think I'm going to leave it there, really. I've really enjoyed this episode, The Power of No. Every Tuesday, a brand new episode of the Toy Talks podcast. So I'm definitely going to see you guys next week for a brand new episode. Make sure you have a great week, whatever day it is that you're listening to this. Take care of yourself. It's okay to center yourself. Stay focused. Always trust your gut and discern. My name is Toya Washington, and you have been listening to the Toy Talks podcast.